Hi, my name is Walt Bednarz with Design Point Solutions, and in this video I'm going to show you how you can create note-taking capabilities inside your Vault, very much like how you would use one of those note-taking type apps for your phones or tablets or even your desktop solutions. It's just a way to integrate that kind of functionality into your Vault. So here, looking at my Vault, I already have this template set up in my libraries folder to start off with, and you'll see it has certain things in the header. It's just a text file I'm working with, but I have some placeholders for what you're familiar with here in terms of template variables. So I'm going to push certain properties right into this file when it's created. And I want to be able to capture that inside my project folder. When I right mouse click, it'll create that note and give me a good file name for it, a consistent file name, and also pull some of this information right off the project folder cards. So to do this, I'm going to go into my admin utility, and I'm just going to create a new template. And I'm going to call this project notes. I'm going to have this so it uses the admin's authentication or its permissions. And I have a template card already set up. So what we're going to do is we're going to add that card. It's called My Notes, and it just has two fields in it. The way those fields are set up is by default their values are the same corresponding variables values of project name and project number. So to see what I'm talking about here, what we'll do is we'll take a look at that card in a moment. So what I want to do is I want to map those to some template variables. And here we're going to say let's create a new template variable. I'm going to say t underscore project name. Create another one, t underscore project number. And those are going to map to these variable controls here from the template card. We'll create a couple others as well. So I'm going to say t underscore author, and that'll be the logged in user. And then we'll also get a date stamp in here. And that date stamp is just going to be a format string. It's going to be something that we can make it easier to sort the file name, as well as just gives us something to work with when we're trying to figure out when was this created. So we'll put in the month and the day of the month, and this will be have a time on it as well. So we'll say that we want to get the hour, and maybe we should change that format to a 24-hour. We'll get our minute in there as well. Alright, so we have that information in place. We want to get the project name mapped to our template variable. Same with the project number. So we're just carrying over what came from the template card, pushing into that template variable. We're going to push that downstream. So we want to use that in the file name and also in the contents of the file. So here's my project notes file. That was the one I'd shown you earlier. And what we want to do is we want to use some of that information in here. So what we'll say is let's get the date stamp, and maybe even before that put the author in there. So that's going to be inside the file name, still maintaining that extension on there. And I didn't set up a file card for this, so we don't have to map that to the file card, but you could do so if you want to, especially if you're using something that had metadata like a Word document to capture notes and you want to get information into the contents, then you would use these card variables. In this case, since we have an ASCII based file, we want to expand variables in the file too, and that pushes those template variables in there, and it uses those placeholders that I had shown you earlier. So let's move down the line here. Our icon will be a text file. So here's my text file, and the users will say admin and the following groups. Members of those groups will have access to this. Alright, so looking over at the project notes, we talked about all those template variables. I don't have one in date here, but I set up the other. So we're just going to go t_date to get that value pushed in here, and we'll save this. So now I have a very nice, easy to use template in my projects. And once again, we see here that within these folders we have the project number and the other piece here. Our template variable is actually grabbing data. The default value on the template card is going to be equal to the folder card's project number. So it takes that, maps it in there, and then pushes that over to the template variable. So create this long chain here, but essentially what we're doing is now I go to New, go to create my project notes. My template card, project number is grabbing it from these folders, the parent folder, project name, project number. It puts it into the file name. So project notes was created by the admin because that's who I'm logged in as. And there's my date stamp, year, month, day, time. And if I go into the file, I can see that's all captured in there as well. So there's my, should have been customer, but it should have been project name. So we would change that, of course, in our template to reflect that. Here are my notes. Once again, what we would do is we would check in our template when we're ready to share it with everybody. Right now, I would go back here and just fix that piece in my template file. Project name. Number, and that gets that information in there. Our final testing, we'll check that in for everybody else to be able to use once it's done. Once again, final testing. We'll create a new note. See there, it's got a different timestamp on it, a couple minutes later. But now we go in and we see project number, project name, author, date. We can put in our notes. And that's how you can create note-taking functionality inside of EPDM.